Okay, so it is time to start running some shakedown on this Jeep. So we've got the garage squared away, the Bronco's back in here, we've got the Jeep over on its side of the garage now. I've taken and jacked the back up, I've got it on jack stands under there, wheels off the ground because I got my drive shaft hooked up, new drive shaft that they made for me. Had to lengthen it a little bit, so that's on there. No front drive shaft yet because I'm gonna have them custom measure it just because I want that to be a one and done. I don't wanna mess up the measurements on that. So again, we're at the point where I'm ready to start running this motor in, bringing it up to temp and starting to bleed the power steering and hydro boost system and all that, getting it to where it's gonna be ready for its initial drive on the street. But again, you gotta do some work here in the garage before you get to that point. So I've got it jacked up in the rear end. I've started it a few times, ran it for a couple minutes. It's died on me once, and so I think there might be some bugs in here, but I don't know if that was just getting used to altitude or what it was. But we've got everything kind of in place and ready to go, so let's go ahead and get this thing started, see if we can get it up to temp, see if we can bleed out the power steering system, make sure the brakes are working and all that, start the shakedown. So let me get the camera set up where I think it's gonna make the most sense, and then we'll get rolling. All right, so that seems like a pretty decent view. We've got the motor, get in there. I'm gonna fire this up, so this thing hasn't been started in probably about a week at this point, maybe a little bit more. So it's bone cold. I'm gonna get in, fire it up, make sure my alternator's charging. I've got the voltmeter set up over there to make sure that's one of the things I need to check, make sure that's putting in the voltage we need. And then we're gonna, like I said, run it in, see if we can get it up to temp. I'm gonna get in, turn the wheel a little bit, hit the brakes. And so a little playing around. Hopefully I've got this set up to where if anything goes wrong while I'm in the cab, I'll be able to look back at the video. But let me turn my voltmeter on just so that's ready. And then we'll get this thing fired up and rolling. There we go with that. All right, you don't wanna be fumbling around looking for stuff when the time comes. So, all right, here we go. Cold start. There's the fuel pump. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is just pump the brakes a few times by hand and then turn the wheel to see if I can't get that power steering, that hydro boost to burp out in the air in the lines. Make sure I'm gonna cycle that a few times, left to right, not get too crazy with it, but again, just trying to get that power steering pump to cycle everything through, get any air that might be trapped in the lines or in the master cylinder, and get it back to the pump so we can get it bled out of there, do a refill, and eventually get this thing nice and smooth. All right, I'm gonna see if you guys can hear me over the motor, but come in here, I hit the lights. The gauges light up. Look how good those look. So we're showing 40 PSI, looking like 13 volts, still cold. I gotta figure out the fuel. That's telling me I'm empty, but I know I've got some in there, so I gotta figure out that sending unit thing. RPMs, right here. So it kind of, get away from that a little bit. So when you rev it, it sounds like it wants to die. I think there's some tuning that needs to be done to this for sure, but I'm gonna let this come up to temperature, then we'll check back in. Okay, so we got up to temp. We got it up to, man, it's smoky in here. I'm gonna go outside, that is. I got the fan and doors open and everything like that, but it's still a little smokier than I care for. Okay, so we got it up to 180. The fans kicked on and the thermostat opened and started cycling the coolant. You can see there on the ground, I bopped the throttle and it boosh, shot out here. So nothing's leaking. That's not, you know, a big gaping open hole at the top of that. So it ran in good. Again, I think there's some tuning to be had in this because it gets real lopey, right? Coming off, if you give a little bit of gas and then come off throttle, coming down, it gets real lopey and wants to kind of die out on you. And so I was able to put it in gear while I had it up, and while I was waiting for it to come up to temp, I put it in park, from park to neutral to drive. Now, what I found out is when I had this in drive, the rear brakes need to be adjusted desperately because I was hitting the brakes and it wasn't stopping. You know, like it was revving the speed up, and I could hear it shifted in a second, keeps going. And so I really had to put some pressure into the brake to get those rear drums to stop, which is to be expected, right? Like I think these are probably, God, who knows when they've been replaced or adjusted. And so there's some work to do back there. But the majority of the braking comes from the front end, so I'm not super worried from a braking perspective. I'll get it dialed in for sure, but I'm not concerned that the brakes don't work yet because I think the fronts are going to handle the majority of it. Gave it good brake pressure, good pedal feel. Like I said, I had to get a little hard in that, but good firm pedal. So I'm expecting when I drive it, it'll be good to go. What else? Yeah, from drive back to neutral, let it settle. Put it in reverse, worked fine in reverse, reverse back to neutral, got it stopped, neutral into park. And so it ran through those gears at least. I haven't driven it all or dropped it all the way down to, you know, like running through first, second, third, anything like that. I'll do that when we get on the street and I have some brakes, you know, and some playroom. But all in all, for that first run in, I'm pretty happy. It took it, man, I don't know, probably maybe 4 or 5 minutes to get up to operating temperature. And so that makes me happy. That means we'll have a good warm vehicle on cool days. And then the malfunction light didn't come on, so I never saw the check engine light or malfunction light pop in. It looks like the Dakota Digital's reading most everything. I didn't check the speed. That's what I didn't check. So I need to check and see if it's reading speed because I was too busy, you know, looking back at the wheels. But successful first stand run, I think. I'm gonna do that probably a couple more times just to make sure. So I'm gonna let it cool all the way back down. And then, you know, we'll come out, we'll start it again from a cold start, run it in again, let it get back up to temperature. So I'm gonna probably do 2 or 3 more of those on the stand just to see if there's anything that I'm missing, right? Stress test it a little bit on there, and then we'll get ready for the first drive. So let me get those ran through. We'll check back in probably tomorrow. I'll spend the rest of the day today running through those stand runs. And then we'll be ready to go. Like I said, steering felt good. I didn't get too crazy with it because it was, you know, turning the whole vehicle, but it's on those jack stands. I didn't want to get crazy and knock it off. So, but yeah, I'm super excited, right? This is all taking a little bit of fear away every time that fear is not the right word, trepidation. Every time I run this, I get a little more confident that, okay, all right, it's looking like everything's done right. It's looking like everything's where it's supposed to be. So like I said, ultimately when I get that first drive out, we're going probably, you know, around here into the cul-de-sac and back and just right back here. It'll be a quick one just to make sure everything's running, just to make sure everything's stopping. Again, check everything, then maybe to the end of the street and back. So I'm gonna be real serious about this shakedown just because there's so many unknowns on this. I didn't build the motor, I didn't build the transmission, and even if I did, God, I'm not, you know, you gotta do this anyway. So I know I'm rambling, it's because I'm excited, but let me do the rest of the stand shakedowns, then we'll get ready to take it on the first drive. All right, so on the second rundown here, I get under there and I check out, make sure that the wiring for the O2 sensors is not getting burnt anything, because I realized I didn't really rope that out of the way yet. But everything went pretty good on this one to start with initially, and then we're gonna run into some problems here, but it's coming up to temp, everything's looking good. It is getting a little smoky for my taste. I had, you know, the fans on, doors open, everything, but you know, I noticed that it was running a little smelt rich, but what's going to end up happening here is it's going to throw a lean code. So we got the malfunction indication light here, and then the Dakota Digital registered the check engine light there. And so we're gonna have to get the OBD2 sensor hooked up and see what's going on exactly with that. But you know, it was running really well until it wasn't. Like I said earlier, I think we're gonna need to do some tuning on this. We'll get that lined up, but let's see what these codes are. Okay, so I just completed the second dry run on this, and as you can see, let's see if we can get that down there. It's pissing antifreeze everywhere. It's coming out through this top here, right as it's cycling through. I think it's finding all those air pockets in there and kind of shooting the air pockets out and raising the level and cycling it through. So I'm not super concerned about that. Usually they sell a funnel that goes on there to keep that from happening. I don't have one, but what I did find though is the temperature spiked on the gauge and went straight up to like 220. Now I'm feeling that's not at 220, right? That's not north of boiling. So I think there's probably a pocket in there somewhere where the sensor is that I need to get an air bubble out of. So I need to figure out how to get that air bubble out of there and let that system flow good. I've always been taught that you run the system with this off of here, it'll burp itself out, and eventually you'll get those air pockets out. So we'll have to do that again. I'll maybe add a little bit of coolant back in, massage the radiator hose a little bit, and see if we can't get some of that air out of there. But what I did check while I had it up here on the second run through is the speedometer. So the Dakota Digital is reading the speedometer off the OBD2 port. So that's awesome. But as you saw, there's a malfunction light on here. So I got to figure out what that is. Now, what I did notice is having a hard time idling, that all of that exhaust smoke was just pouring up and just a big plume of cloud right there at the intake. So I'm hoping that it's messing with the air intake temp or maybe the oxygen sensor and things like that. Something like that. It's giving it a foul reading. And maybe that's what threw the light or through the code. But I'm gonna plug my scan tool in, see if I can get something off of it and see if I can figure out what this is. But we're gonna let it cool down again. Like I said, I'll plug my scan tool in, see if I can figure out what this code is, and then we're gonna go from there. All right, let's see what this thing is gonna tell us. So let's get this scan tool on. Let's get this plugged in here. Auto linking. It's going to take a minute to communicate with the system. Now we're in there. Let's see what it's got. Let's see. Fuel trim lean bank 2. Okay. So running a little lean. Let's see what else we got. All right, so it looked like lean bank 1 and bank 2. So I'm guessing that is probably getting some bad info from either the O2 sensor, since I got those open at the bottom, or the mass airflow sensor, since it was just sucking in exhaust fumes. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and clear these and clear all the DTC codes. Yes. All right, those are all erased. So like I said, I think that was probably the case. So we got those cleared out, and now we will go ahead and on the third run in, see if we throw any codes again, if it's anything we actually need to address, or if this was just, like I said, because it was just sucking exhaust fumes into that intake. So hopefully that's all it is. Okay, well, the time has come to take this thing out its initial drive. So I've kind of cleaned up the engine bay, got everything out of the way. I'm gonna unhook the battery tender from it here, get that out of the way. I have brought it down off the jack stand. She's sitting on the floor. No hood, obviously. We're gonna run it no hood for the first one. But I think I've taken care of everything. I've double checked all the fluids. Trans is good, oil's good. Transfer case is good. Power steering I topped up. Coolant is good. So now that we've double checked everything, there's nothing to it but to do it. And so I'm gonna start it, let it warm up just a little bit until it drops idle. Then we're gonna take her for a quick spin around the neighborhood. See how she does. Fire her up. we go, it's dropped idle. And we're out and moving. Brakes work good. All right. Oh, God damn it, I forgot the door doesn't open from the inside. All right, there we go. Okay, so. All right, so there that was. That was the inaugural run, real quick, right? Just around the cul-de-sac and back. I can already tell we're gonna have to tune this thing. I mean, it idles so rough. And you know, when you come to a stop, you can't have it doing that. But it rode decent. My steering wheel, man, I thought I put the steering wheel straight. This steering wheel is so damn crooked, unbelievably crooked. So there's a lot of things we're gonna have to go back and fix and rework. But for an initial run, I didn't hear anything crazy. I don't see anything dripping. I don't hear it making any funny noises at me. So I'm pretty happy with that. So we'll call that a successful initial run. So with that, I'm gonna start taking it on a little bit longer test drives, really start tuning it in and getting it squared away. But I think, like I said, I think we're on the right path. I need to find somebody who can do some LS tuning for me, or maybe I might try to do it myself. We'll figure that out. But overall, starting to come together, and I'm really, really happy with how this is starting to turn out. So I think I'm gonna leave it there, and we'll pick up in the next one. Hopefully I'll have an LS tune on this thing, and we can start taking it for a little bit longer test drives and a little more confidence in this thing. But let's button some things up and get going again. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one.